Hey, how's it going? My name is King Jalbs or Jalbs, and for those of you who are new here, I'm a top 1% player on both MW3 multiplayer and Warzone. On my last video, a couple of my awesome subscribers left these comments. Could you make a loadout video or a movement guide video too? Would love to see it. Not sure if it'd be an interesting video, but something I struggle with is losing the quick gunfights. For example, if someone turns the corner and shoots me first. So what we're going over today is the most essential MW3 settings, movement mechanics, and general tips which have helped me and hopefully you become a top 1% player in the game too. Now, essential doesn't mean everything. It means essential as I'm trying to be quick, efficient, and get you guys what you need to know and then back into your games. One thing to note before we get started, I do play on controller, so some of these tips might be controller specific, but the vast majority of what I'm going to be talking about today can be applied to both M&K and controller. All right, enough yapping, let's get into it. First up, we have the essential Modern Warfare 3 controller settings, and in my opinion, there are 9 of them. Here's what they are and why they help. So I've got a lot of these quick settings selected for you guys, so we're not going to be scrolling through everything on the menus. You guys will be able to find it on your own if you need to change any of these. So starting up first, we have our aim response curve type, which is dynamic. I think this is what most of you should be using because this is what most COD pros use. However, linear is another good option, especially if you're coming from a game where you're used to using a linear response curve type. However, whichever one you pick, stick with it. Don't go around changing between dynamic and linear all the time. You want to pick one and stick with it, otherwise it's going to throw you off. Changing these really does affect your aim. Next up, we have aim assist type. Now, I strongly recommend that you guys use Black Ops. However, default is another good option. There really isn't a big difference between those, except that I swear Black Ops has just a little bit stickier aim than default does. So it feels like there's a little bit more aim assist on the Black Ops setting than there is default. However, default is not a bad choice. Similarly to aim response curve type, you guys should pick one and stick with it. Don't change it around too much, okay? Try them both out by all means, but pick one and stick with it, okay? Next up, we're gonna get into sensitivities. And now, I play on 8.8. However, I recommend that you guys play in the range of somewhere between 5.5 and 10.10. I probably, for the most part, would not go over 10.10 unless you're an absolute crackhead. And I definitely, regardless of who you are, would not play below 5.5. And now the reason why I would not play below 5.5 is because MW3 is a high-paced game. You have people slide canceling. If you're playing Warzone, people are going to be diving out of the air, running around, jumping off buildings, and you need to be able to track people for whatever type of movement that they're doing. Now, going into my specific sensitivity a little bit, I'm playing on the higher end of that scale, right? That 5.5 to 10.10 range. And the reason why I do that is because this allows me to turn around very quickly, to reposition. You know, if someone's coming up behind me, it gives me an opportunity to turn on people. Whereas if I'm playing on 5.5 or 6.6, it's going to be a little bit harder. I'm going to be a little bit slower. However, there is one thing that I do that makes ADS aiming or aim down sight aiming a little bit easier, and that's adjusting my multiplier. So on the low zoom end of things, I have 0.85, and anything above that, I use 0.95. And it's my opinion that this sense in particular allows me to track people's movements at max speeds regardless of game mode, whether you're playing multiplayer or Warzone. So if you guys are looking for something to try out, I highly recommend 8.8 with these sensitivity multipliers. Next up, we have our slide/dive behavior. Now, since I play a lot of Warzone, I use tap to slide. However, if you are strictly a multiplayer player, or you think it's really important to have the most quick and speedy response times to whatever action you're doing, throw on slide only. Most of the time, you're probably not going to be diving. It's really only useful in Warzone for the most part. There are definitely some situations in multiplayer where diving is good. However, for the most part, you want to have that speedy slide only on, okay, if you're not playing Warzone. Also, there is a way that you can dive while you have the slide only setting equipped. However, I don't know how to do that. I don't use that, and I really don't think it makes that big of a difference. I would just make sure to have one of these two on, okay? Next up, we have our automatic sprint type. And now for 99% of you, I would recommend you use automatic tactical sprint. And there's a lot of reasons why. So first up, if you're a controller player, it's gonna save your thumbs a lot of stress, a lot of pain. You know, you're not gonna have to deal with any like tendon issues or pain in your thumbs. You're gonna be able to play for a long period of time. You're also going to be able to jump chow out around corners, make quick movements with automatic tactical sprint on, which is why I highly recommend that you guys use this setting. Now we're going to get into some different things. So when it comes to FOV, most pros recommend that you play in the range of 95 to 105. However, I'm, for the most part, going to be playing on 115 just because I think that from a viewer perspective, it's a little bit better. The gameplay feels faster when you're playing on a higher FOV, but for you guys, yourselves, you should probably be sticking in that 95 to 105 range. Also, when rank play comes out, I'm probably going to drop it down to 105. So that's what 115 looks like. This is what 105 looks like, and this is, you know, right on that top end of the range that pros recommend you use. And this is 95, so this is like super zoomed in. I don't think I'll ever be playing on this FOV. 105 is probably going to be the sweet spot for me for competitive modes. Next up, we have our audio mix. All right, and now I use soundbar because soundbar is a little bit louder than the other settings in the game. So that's why I like to use it. I feel like I can hear things better with soundbar on. However, if you don't like this, I would recommend giving either home theater or headphone bass boost a try. But soundbar is what I use and what I recommend. Next up, and this is definitely a setting that can make a huge difference in all of your games. And that's if, you know, you're losing gunfights, it's possible that you just can't see people. So what you want to do is go into color customization and change your enemy color. So I have mine on red. That one makes it really easy for me to see. I would also recommend like bright pink as another option if you are having trouble seeing your enemies across the map. Also, along with that, make sure you don't have any, you know, overlapping colors so you're getting things confused as well. Next up, and this is probably one of the most important setting in Modern Warfare 3. Now, I have changed my crosshair to have the center dot on the largest option. So as you can see here on the right, the left photo there is the smallest one, or default. The one on the right is what I use. And the reason why I use this is because it helps so much with your centering, especially when you first turn it on. Now, if you're losing a lot of gunfights, especially at close range, it's probably because your centering is off. You're looking at a wall, you're looking at a floor, you're looking at the ceiling, you're not looking at a head glitch or somewhere the enemy could potentially be coming from. So centering is something that's really important, and this center dot scale is something that helps a lot with that. Now, eventually you're gonna get used to your center dot being big on your screen and you're not gonna notice it as much, okay? However, what you need to do is just keep it in the back of your mind, thinking about your centering. Every once in a while, check in with yourself during a multiplayer match or a Warzone game where nothing's going on. How's my centering doing? Am I doing the best job that I can with my centering? Highly recommend that you guys do that. All right, so now we are gonna move on to the movements. There are 6 essential movement skills that every Call of Duty player should have. And there are also 2 essential advanced skills, which I'm gonna cover after we go through the essential 6. Okay, so first up, we have our usual basic slide cancel, where you're just tack sprinting, you slide, and then you stand up, okay? So you're jumping up. And there are a couple different variations of this, right? You have your super quick one, right? And then you can do a little bit of a longer one too, okay? Now, I would say the quick one is probably the best and the one that you should use the most. But the way you want to time it right is going to be coming right around the corner is when you want to hit that slide cancel, right? Or when you want to time your jump up, I guess. Okay? And you can also do it when you're like pushing forward towards head glitches, just like that, for example. We're just playing bots here. But like say I'm moving forward towards this guy on this head glitch, right? You can also use a slide cancel like that when you're pushing. You can use it to get away from people, to get behind cover. Just generally make yourself a hard target to hit. There's nothing wrong with just slide canceling around the map, okay? Next up is gonna be your drop shot. Drop shotting is very simple, right? I'm just gonna come around this corner, lay down, drop shot, run back. You can also see that I'm pulling back on the left stick while I'm drop shotting, and that's what a drop shot is. Now, there's a couple of instances where drop shotting can get you into trouble, okay? And I would say that's like at this kind of range here, like 10 meters, you probably, or like this range, you probably want to avoid drop shotting. And the reason why is that it basically just sticks your head out and makes your head a very easy target to hit, okay? And what you want to do in this game is avoid getting headshotted. That's really important. Now, when it's good to do is close range. Like here, drop shotting's good. You're moving a lot more, right? It makes your head harder to hit. It's also good to do at long range, right? If you have a super accurate gun, or you're gonna like lay down behind some cover, just like that, right? Those are also some instances where drop shotting can be really useful. So you don't want to get used to using it too much. You don't want to spam it all the time. You don't want that to be your only movement mechanic, okay? Because it's going to get you into trouble sometimes. Next up is a very important skill that you all should practice, and it might take you a little bit of time to get used to it, right? Okay? And it's called snaking. And basically what it is you're laying down and you're sprinting forward on a head glitch like this. And it's usually a head glitch of like medium height, just like this here. And the reason why you use this is to play for like information, so you can see people coming, but they can't really shoot you, and that's why you do it. And it definitely takes a little bit of time to get down, so I'd recommend you guys go into like a private match and just try it out. But like Terminal has a lot of these really good like head glitches to like play on to snake, and you can do it basically anywhere. The only thing about snaking, and this is something that they recently changed in Modern Warfare 3, is that you can only do it so much before they eventually start to slow you down. The game starts to slow your snake down, okay? You can only do it like a couple, like maybe 2-3 times in one spot before they've nerfed the ability to like just abuse snaking. Next up, and this is something that's a very good thing to do if you don't know how to snake yet, and it's called crouch spamming, okay? Very simple, very self-explanatory. You're just going to be going backwards and forwards like this. So if you can't snake, you guys should be doing this when you're on like these medium-sized head glitches, okay? Or just in general. Like, you don't even have to be on a head glitch, right? Maybe I'm like holding something, holding some kind of angle, and I'm just crouch spamming, right? I'm just making myself a very hard target to hit. Well, I can like do things like this, right? Just poke at people from behind cover, put some damage on them. You can even do it around like walls, just to make yourself a hard target to hit, make it hard for the enemy to hit some headshots on you, like that kind of thing, okay? And there's never really a bad time to crouch spam. Like, you can do it like mid gunfight even. It's good because you're moving around. All right, you're making yourself harder to hit. Next up, and this is something that I really don't see a lot of players doing. It's called shouldering. Just like what I'm doing here on the spot, right? I'm just going left and right. A lot of times, people kind of go in a circle, as you can see my left stick doing this right now. All right. It's a little bit quicker and a little bit easier to do this in a circle. And usually when you're shouldering, right, you want to have your pistol out or a gun that you're a little bit quicker with when you're shouldering, okay? Just having that little bit more movement speed is a good thing, all right? And the reason why I'm doing this, you're just playing for info. And of course you can't shoulder, right, like this low golf cart, right, or this trash can, right, because my whole body's out. You want to shoulder a tall wall or some kind of pillar or something like that. And now I do this all the time, but I really don't see a lot of other players doing it in multiplayer matches. It's always something that you can do, whatever you're playing. You're playing a pillar, you're playing a corner, you know, whatever it is, right? Shouldering and playing for info is something that's really good to do. Now, something that I think that all Call of Duty players should know how to do is going to be your tac sprint jump chow, right? You're going to have your full stamina bar ready, and you're going to go out and chow the person that's around the corner, okay? So instead of slide canceling around the corner, and now this is something that's really good to do when you don't have a lot of room to move around, because you kind of got to take like a step to really hit a slide. You can't just immediately, you know, like go into a slide cancel. You kind of got to like take a step and then slide. Otherwise you're probably going to get a dead slide, right? So like you can see right here, you know, I'm taking a step first. Whereas a jump chow, you don't have to take that step. You can just move right around the corner, okay? I do have an example of showing you exactly like what I'm talking about. So like here, right? You can't really slide off this, but you can jump chow out, right? So exactly like that. Okay, so this would be an example where I can snake. I'm now crouch spamming while I'm reloading. You could drop shot there. That's a good place to drop shot. You know, I'm not right next to a wall. Drop shotting behind cover. I'm just playing cover. I'm using all these different things. You know, now I can snake here on this bot. Now I swung that corner too wide, right? Like I would want to play this head glitch here while I'm snaking. It's kind of just tough to see a little bit. But you can snake this, chow out. Okay. All right, and now last but not least, we have our advanced movement mechanics, okay? Now these things are a little bit trickier, and it's kind of combining a couple of things together along with some timing, okay? Now the first one, and this is one that I use all the time, it's going to be a slide cancel into a jump challenge. Okay? So just like that, you're going to slide out around a corner, and you're going to jump Chall. And you're going to spam jump while you do it, okay? You're not just going to jump once. You're going to slide, jump while you're shooting, and keep doing it until your opponent's dead, okay? And it is going to take a little bit of time to, like, get used to aiming while you're doing that, but it's really going to throw your opponent off, and I have an excellent example of me and an opponent both doing this movement mechanic to each other, so you guys will be able to really see what it looks like from both perspectives. I end up losing that gunfight, but it's okay. It's a great example for you guys to see just how effective it can be. Now, something to know is that when you are doing your slide cancel into the jump, there's a little bit of a delay. However, this is still a really good movement to know how to do. And now what I would also recommend doing is what you just saw there, okay? It's not just I'm going to slide out and then jump left, especially if someone's close to me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide cancel, and then I'm going to jump backwards, okay? So let's see if I can kind of show you like a live example. So like here, I'm going to slide and just jump. I'm going to slide and jump, okay? And also doing this in like tight spaces like this, right? Like my head's going to hit the ceiling, so it's not going to be as effective. So like a drop shot in like tight, close quarters is going to be more effective than like a jump chat like that, okay? So that was my first advanced tip. And now my second advanced tip is going to be camering, okay? We'll see if we can line up bot up to do this. But basically, you're going to slide out, and that was a perfect example of a camera, all right? And the premise of a camera is basically that you are sliding under your opponent's point of view, okay? So right here, I'm going to slide out, and they're going to not be able to see me because I'm sliding under where they can see and behind them. They're only going to see like a little glimpse of you as you go by, basically, is the premise. Now, it's something that's kind of tough to do, especially in game modes where people are using dead silence. Much easier to replicate game modes such as Ground War or Warzone, right? Because timing is definitely involved in this, okay? And you can't camera someone from like there, right? You basically have to slide right by them, okay? So like that would be a good example of like distance that you could camera someone from, right? Now, if you time this wrong, here's what can happen. So if you go too early, like if I think that this guy's pushing me and I go out to camera him, it's gonna look goofy. You're just sliding out into the open. You're not really close to cover. It's gonna be pretty easy to kill you. It's gonna be better than just strafing out like this, like super slow strafe speed like I'm doing right now, right? It's better to slide out than to just do this, but it's not as good as if you time it properly, right? So like that's an example of a camera right there. That would be perfect. So I'm sliding by them. They basically have to do a 180 to start to shoot me. Now, if you time it poorly and too late, what can happen is that you can run into the person, okay? So let's see if we can get an example going. And so if I run into the person, I'm gonna like bounce off them. I'm gonna collide with their character model. And what that does to me, at least, is it really throws my aim off because I'm expecting to slide by them. And instead of doing that, I slide into them, right? So if I go like this, you see how I stop moving? I get body blocked by them, and that can really throw off your aim. However, if you time it right, it's perfect. It's a very kind of like a high risk, high reward, especially when you're first learning it, type of movement mechanic. But once you get it down, you're going to be smoking people, okay? Left and right. Next up, let's move on to my 6 general COD tips or tricks with one bonus tip here at the end. So make sure you hang around for that one. First up, if you aren't good at any of the movement mechanics that I just covered in this video, do exactly what I'm doing here in this video right now. Load into some free-for-all in a private match against bots. Practice your accuracy, practice your aiming. You know, maybe you're playing around with your sensitivity and you want to practice these movement mechanics. You know, practice your snaking, your shouldering, your crouch spam, whatever it is, okay? Your drop shots. Doing it against bots, whatever setting you want to put them on, put like 8, 9, 10 in the game. Get some experience with some different guns that you're maybe not used to using. Practice with iron sights, right? Anything you want to do. I promise you that 15 minutes a day before you start your real session is really going to help with whatever you're trying to learn how to do. Where I've done the most practice in like a training range or something like that has been Apex Legends, and practicing my aim, recoil control, and the firing range really helped me out a lot. So I highly recommend that you guys do this, okay? Next up, for close range engagements, especially on controller, don't ADS the whole time. Don't do this. You're just gonna die, okay? What you need to do instead, and this is super important, guys, you're gonna want to not be ADS'd until you're locked onto your target. So, for example, when someone's trying to camera you, the only way you're gonna be able to kill them is if you're not ADS that whole time, right? So not ADS, now I'm ADS'd. Once I'm close to their character model, that's what I'm doing. But if I get close to them and I'm just ADS this whole time, you're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna get smoked most of the time against a good player who has some movement. So this is something you guys really should practice a lot. Don't just ADS the whole time. It's gonna be so slow and you're gonna die. Next up, make sure that you are building your weapons correctly, okay? And I can give you guys some general principles and tips on how to easily make a class or a loadout that is right for you. Starting off, two of the most important things in Modern Warfare 3 and or Warzone are your ADS and your sprint to fire times, okay? Those are two things that you really want to prioritize as much as you can for whatever type of gun that you are using, right? However, there are going to be some of you that struggle a little bit with recoil control. And what you're going to want to do is, if you're one of those people, you're going to want to focus on two attachment slots in particular. And that is first and foremost your stock, because there's always going to be a stock that offers a lot of recoil control, okay? As you can see here, for example, on the MTZ556, the Marauder stock offers a ton of recoil control, right? So you're first and foremost going to want to look for a stock that helps you out. The next attachment that offers the most recoil control is going to be your muzzle. Now, there's always going to be a muzzle that offers a ton of recoil control, and pull up those advanced stats. Take a look. So, for example, like the Sky Fury Compensator, 14% and 11% vertical recoil control. Now, just scroll through these and kind of play around with what you're looking for, what you need. It kind of depends on the gun, but these two attachments, stock and muzzle, are going to offer you the most recoil control. Now, if you've got these maxed out and you still need some more, then focus on your rear grip, okay? And what you're going to want to do is find the rear grip for whatever gun that you're using that offers all recoil control benefits with no negatives to anything else, okay? So if you've perfected your movement, all your settings are good, and you're still getting shit on, chances are you're probably messing up your loadout builds. You're building for too much recoil control, or you're not building for enough recoil control. It kind of depends on the player that you are as an individual. Next up, number 4, something that's really important. So say I'm taking a fight with this guy and I start off shooting like that. What I shouldn't do is just stick to the challenge. I can against bots, of course, but like at long range, I'm already weak. What I should do is lay down. I should stim. I should try to run away, reposition, you know, that kind of thing, right? If I start off and I'm whiffing all my shots, chances are your opponent's going to have hit a couple of shots on you. So you shouldn't just stick that gunfight out. You should move around, reposition, disengage from the fight. You know, if I'm shouldering a wall and I get weak, don't go out and Chall. Don't hard commit to a fight that you have no business committing to, okay? This is one of those things that I struggle with a lot, especially in Warzone. And it's something that I constantly have to remind myself. I don't always have to ego Chall. I don't always have to commit to a fight. Number 5, whether it be multiplayer or Warzone, don't always push a player from the same angle. If you get shit on one side of the map, or a head glitch, or whatever, you don't have to always re-peek the player from that angle. Take a different route. Go to a different side of the map. Attack a different side of the map. If you just keep running at a good player who's posted up in a really good spot, and you keep attacking him from the same doorway, or the same angle, or the same head glitch, you're just gonna keep getting shit on. Make sure that you're repositioning and taking smart engagements, consistently smart engagements, okay? This is my 6th and final tip before the bonus tip, and it's really important in multiplayer or, you know, in Warzone if you're playing with randoms, okay? And this tip is to bait your random teammates. Don't do this to people you're in a party with, you know, unless you're in ranked play and you guys are specifically trying to get trades, right? Let your teammates go around corners for you. Let them get information for you. Let them cap 3/4 of the B flag before you hop on it, right? You know, there's nothing wrong with letting your team do the dirty work for you. But if you're in a party or you're playing with friends and they catch on that you're doing this all the time, they're gonna get pissed at you. So don't do it playing with a party, okay? And now here's my bonus tip. And this is something that I see all the time between people that I'm either spectating, they're on my team, you know, whatever it is. In COD, keep it moving. In Call of Duty, keep it moving. Don't just stand in one spot for the entire game. Don't just stand on this head glitch, right? Don't just stand up on top AC for the whole game, unless they're letting you do that, right? I'm gonna get a couple kills here, and then I'm gonna move. I'm gonna run. I'm gonna reposition. I'm gonna take a different angle. I'm gonna move to a different corner, a different head glitch. I'm gonna keep it moving, move to a different building. Whatever it is, just keep it moving. Don't slow down. Don't stay in one spot, and especially in Warzone. What this also means too is like I'm gonna do some damage to someone, and then I'm gonna push them. You know, I'm not gonna hit a couple shots and then just stand there and stay on a head glitch. I'm gonna do some damage and then start pushing. Okay, that's really important in Call of Duty in general, whatever game mode you're in. You know, maybe if I am staying in one area, I'm snaking. You know, out, even if it's out in the open, I'm moving around. I'm slide canceling in and out around corners. Okay. I'm jumping up and down. I'm looking for info. And that might seem like it's a super obvious tip. Like, of course I'm going to keep moving. I do this all the time. Most of the people that I watch play don't do that. And it's super important to do. All right, and now that brings us to the end of the video. If you guys made it all the way through, just know that I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video the whole way. And I truly hope that you learned something new, which you can go and implement and practice in your games. I spent a lot of time on putting this together, so I hope it's able to help some of you out. I really love teaching people how to get better at Call of Duty, and this video was a lot of fun for me to put together. So if you did enjoy it or learn something new, throwing a like my way or hitting that subscribe button just lets me know that you did in fact enjoy this and that you found this valuable, and it would be much appreciated. Finally, let me know down in the comments if you did learn something, or if you have any questions for me regarding settings, movement, or general tips / best practices on something maybe I didn't cover in this video, or something you'd like for me to go into a little bit further detail on. I'm really responsive when it comes to people leaving comments on my videos, so I'll do my best to make sure that I get any kind of question that you guys have answered. So with that, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.